So Deepak, the requirement is consider I'm a service provider for. I want to design a URL shortener service, and I want to provide this as a service to my clients.
Okay.
This will be a subscription based, where the different clients will be coming to me,
Okay.
and I'll provide them a URL shortener service. For example, they'll give me a long URL
Okay.
and a unique client key,
Okay.
and based on that, I'll create a short URL which can be used for them to share with their clients or for different purposes.
Okay.
Now, since this is a paid service, so I need to provide the other services. Like for example, they want to see uh, how many URL requests have been made from their side, or which department in the company have requested that, or like what kind of URL we are asking for shortening,
Okay.
and different analytics requirements are there. So
Okay.
other than that, other than my paid clients, there will be anonymous user which can come to my site and request this URL shortening service. But the only caveat is for these anonymous free clients, I'll not be providing any analytics. It is just that they'll request something. They don't have to provide me any key since they're anonymous.
Okay.
And based on that, I'll generate the shortened URL and they provide it to them.
Okay. So let me summarize the requirement. So
Mm-hmm.
there are two type of customers. One is the paid customer, one is free customers.
Mm-hmm.
And free customers will give the long URL. In return,
Mm-hmm.
will get the generated URL, short URL.
Right.
And the
Mm-hmm.
paid customers can give the long URL again, and they can also get the short URL. But the difference is the paid customer can also get the analytics. Am I correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So one quick question. So do we also give the customer to give the customer short allies?
And no, consider that's not a requirement. It is just that they'll be providing the key
Okay.
and the long URL which needs to be shortened.
Okay. So
So
one
we can
more.
take it like once this is done, we can consider this as follow-up requirements,
Okay.
but not at this.
Okay. One more thing you told about some department. Okay. So for the same paid customer, suppose customer A, okay, do we have some other identifier also to which identify department?
So yes, as I told you, for these my paid clients or the subscription-based clients,
Okay.
they will be logged in while they are generating this, while they are requesting the shortened URL.
Okay.
So first, since they are logged in, I already know which client is coming in. So the other key which they are providing, that is a department key.
Okay.
So
So
that
there
is
are
for
two
the
keys.
client. Client key is already with me, right? Because they are
Right.
logged in.
Right. And there's a department key, right? So there are two keys.
Yes.
Okay.
Department.
So one more question. So as you asked me to write like short URL API requirement,
Mhm.
so do we also need to design the other API for the analytics, or that will be done by like report generations?
Just consider you don't have to generate the reports, but at the same time, you need to design service in a way that these kind of reports can be asked for. These can be reports can be requested by
No.
the other
That's my
teams.
question. So normally, so we can talk about like two APIs over here. One is the short
Mhm.
URL API. The
Mhm.
second API we can talk about the analytics report API.
Right.
So we are talking both the APIs over here.
So Deepak, your voice is breaking, but if I get you correctly, you're asking like you need to design two different APIs or one API, right?
Yeah, two different
One for
APIs. One for
analytics
short
and
URL, which okay, which will be consumed by both the customers, like paid and free customers. One is the analytics API, which will be used by only paid customer.
yes. The other one will be used by both customers. The analytics one will be used only by the paid customers.
Okay, okay. So these are the requirement. Okay, and for my assumptions, so can I assume like we can get like 1,000 query per second per day?
Since, as I said, I will be a URL shortener service provider, the clients will be from different countries, and I'm
Right.
assuming that initial load you can consider
Okay.
1 million key generation requests per month.
Okay. So 1 million per month you are saying, right?
You're right.
Okay. So we can say like 1 million per month.
Right.
Okay. Now let's talk about like a read and write
Mhm.
the load. So can I assume like normally, of course, once the URL is written, it is called by like 20 times. So like 1:2 ratio.
Yes, that's a fair assumption. Yeah.
Okay.
You can do.
So I can assume like in 1 million per month, of course, 0.2 million is the write and rest is read. So it's like a very heavy system we have to design.
What I'm asking is 1 million write requests per month and 20 million read requests per month.
Okay. So 20 million
Read requests per month.
read request per month. Okay. Okay. So this is the assumption we are taking, right?
Right.
Okay. Sounds good. And so let me list down the requirement we talk about. Okay.
Sure.
So one is URL shortening. Second is analytics, right? And
Right.
now we have like so many requests and read and write. So we have to talk about like it should be scalable.
Alright, as I mentioned, this is like initial requirement, but as the service grows, you can consider the load may increase manifold. So yes, it has to be scalable.
Okay. And so we can so one question is it need to be like consistent? So by consistent over here, I mean to ask if the URL is generated,
Mhm.
it should be immediately reflected, or it can take like few seconds to get updated, or like it could be eventually consistent.
I think a couple of seconds should be okay. If this is eventually consistent, that should not be a big deal.
Okay, so we'll focus more over here on availability.
Exactly. Yes. The availability and reliability of the system is more important.
Okay. So I have one more question. So suppose two different user give the same URL, same long URL. So do we need to give the same short URL, or it should be different?
No, not at all. It will be different shortened URL in that case.
Okay. So we'll generate new URL every time, right?
Right.
Okay. So this is what we got, and so let's assume like how many storage we need, and how many like. So we can start with how we are going to generate the. Sorry.
Yeah, can keep it flexible. For example, maybe some of my client may want to have a same URL each time they're requesting a shortened URL, and my other clients they may ask for a different URL. So is it possible to keep it consistent? To keep it flexible, maybe based on some check
Yeah, we can do that.
input provided. Yeah.
If we can do that, but here there is one conflict may happen, so we may have to check on that. For example, if one client A suppose already have some URL one, okay, and suppose client B now want to have the same short URL they are looking for, so they also give the URL one. So should we give the URL one from the client A to B, or for him it will be all new generated?
Oh no, what I'm saying is for a client, it may be same.
Okay,
Like
the same client.
It will definitely be different, but for a client, it is up to the client if they are asking for a service like they need the same URL, we'll provide them the same.
Okay.
Otherwise, we can just keep it default to a separate URL.
Sure. So here we can start talking with like two scenarios. So two use case. One is like okay, how we are going to generate the URL,
Right.
and second we can see how we are going to store in our data model, so that we can meet this requirement. Okay.
Okay.
So let me start with like URL generation. Okay. I'm just running with this. Okay. So first of all, we have to see like how many URL we need and how long we need to like store. So one more question I would like to ask: do we need to put any expiration date for the URL shortener?
So yeah, that will be required. It will be mostly input by the client.
Right.
So you may assume it may be like for the purpose of this discussion,
Okay.
you can consider this is like 5 years.
5 years. Okay. So initially we assume like 1 million right, per month, right?
Right.
Per month. This is what you assume.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you're talking about 5 years, so we have to store for 5 years. So it will be 1 into 12 into 5, it will be 60 million.
That is correct. Yeah.
So we are looking for 60 million different URL at least to support our
Mhm.
system.
Exactly.
Okay. Now we'll talk about like how many characters we are looking for. Okay. So first of all, we'll see like what are the characters we can allow. So
Mhm.
like when we talk about URL, okay. So uppercase and lowercase matters. So considering that, we can have this range A to Z, 0 to 9. Okay. So this is the count of 62.
Mhm.
There are few symbols also allowed as per RPC factor, okay, which we can avoid over here considering if this fits our requirement. Okay.
Okay.
So now we have 62 different characters. So now we can see, okay, like how many minimum characters we need to generate 60 million. So that we can see. Okay.
Right.
So if we do like a rough calculations, okay, so 62 into 62, 62 into 62. So let's to the like, let's try to up to 6. Okay. So I guess it will give you around 3.5 trillion. So for 62/7, it will give 3.5. If so, if you go with 6, we have it will in billions, which will meet our
Right.
requirement.
Okay.
Okay, so we can go with 6 characters.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
which will be fair enough. So we can go with 6 characters. Okay, and the result will be in around 2 billion. It will give us like 2 billion, which is 3 times what we need.
Okay.
Okay, so it will
for around 15 years from now.
yes, it can support up to till 15 years. So we can also have some grace period for the expiry. Okay,
Okay.
so we can go with that. Now,
Mhm.
how we will make sure we generate the unique key for every time? So there are different ways. What we can do, we can like from each set, we will try to take randomly to choose one character and append
Mhm.
to create a six character key. Okay, that's what we can do. But going forward, the one problem of it this is at one stage you can start seeing the conflict. The key is already generated.
How are we
Okay.
getting the 6 character key?
So we are taking six. So say for example, we'll take a random function from here up to
Mhm.
select any of these keys. So suppose in first random we select A, in second random we select B. So similarly we'll
Okay.
get 6 characters.
So don't you think there will be many collisions?
Yeah,
after,
that's what I'm saying. So it may create many collisions.
Mhm.
One good solution we can think of it here is we can use it as a counter system. So what we can
Okay.
do here is we can go with the number 1, like 0, 2, and keep on incrementing number by 1, like 0,
Okay.
1, 2. Okay. So if we keep on incrementing, of course there is no collisions, and then we can convert this to our 6 character. So okay. So 6 character we can convert. So it will like 0 can become of course 0, 0. So we can write a separate function called convert to base 62. So we'll convert
Okay.
all the number to the base 62 numbers.
Okay.
Okay, so we will make sure it generates always unique number. So a
Mhm.
unique
Okay.
key. So that we can do. Okay. So there are 2 more things on this we can do. One like generation of the key when the request comes, or
Mhm.
we can like do our as we already know what keys to generate, it's all random. So we can pre-generate the keys. So that's what we can do. So what do you say? Sounds good?
So given the system has to be scalable, taking care of millions of requests per month, and as I
Right.
said, it needs to scale in future.
Right.
Maybe when my international clients will be coming in and
Right.
things will be happening soon. So when you say we'll be generating this when this is requested versus pre-generating this.
Right.
So what do you think which will be better approach here?
So pre-generation will be better. We can pre-generate, and so as soon as the request comes, we can simply pick the keys and give it to the users.
But the problem is that in that case will be I'm asking for a client will be looking for like this specific, like for example, I need to track whether the request is coming from client A or client B.
Right.
So the user key has to play a part in this, right?
Right.
So how will you differentiate the key which you are pre-generating are going to user A or this is going to anonymous client?
No, so that will come later. So currently we are talking about the key generations.
Okay.
And one more thing, right? So which key to decide assign to which client? So that it's all random, right?
Right.
Okay. So that is not dependent on the who is coming, right?
How
So
you
only requirement as we talk about is analytics.
Right. The
Assign of
only
the
thing
keys,
is,
we
what
can
I'm
assign
assuming
any
is-
key to any client, right?
Yes, but what I'm assuming is this keys cannot be guessed. Like for example, if you're doing it in a sequence,
Right.
it will happen like I start guessing these keys and it will try to kind of breach the data.
No, it's not like, see, means when we talk, so when we talk about like 6 characters, okay, of course, if you talk in that sense, you can guess any keys. That will always be the case, okay, because after suppose 5 years, all the keys will be consumed, then anybody can try any keys. But if you talk about which keys, so you cannot guess which keys is related to which client. That one cannot guess,
Okay.
okay. So that is
Do you have any question? I heard, I think, your voice.
No, I am saying, see all the 6 different combinations, right? So if you talk
Right.
about any combination apply, that anybody can try for any combinations, and all the
Right.
combination will work because we are not limiting any combination. We are not saying okay this combination is not allowed.
Okay.
So all the 6 character combinations are valid. Okay,
Right.
so that
Okay.
nobody can avoid. Only thing,
just a quick question, Deepak.
yep,
Here, as we are providing this 6 character key codes,
right,
here the requirement which Saurav was putting is like we have to provide the analytics for the paid services.
right,
So
right.
how many times we requested this particular URL?
No, so that is for the like once we go for the URL generations, right? Finally, this is for the key generation. We are already generated key. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm coming to that. So what we can do? So we can have like one set of table, okay, where we can store the predefined keys. Okay, so we can have like kind of column kind of like key, okay, and we can have like status used or something, okay. So status. So once we generate the key, we can keep on putting the key over here. Suppose key 1, key 2, okay, and we can have the status like active. So when the request comes to for the request for the key generations, like short URL generations. So what we can do over here is, of course, we can mark it as overused, and then the key will be entered into the other table, where we can have the okay. So let's come to data model. Okay, let me come to data model then first. That will make more sense. How we will have the data looks like. So I'm deleting this part. Okay. So what we can do, like we also want, of course, paid customer. We also want to make better service. So we can have a different table for them. Okay, so that if needed, we can scale it better to for the customers, paid customers. So the table can have the columns like, okay, first of all, the naming conventions. So what's the name we'll do? Okay, so normally we can use the name for the sort URL as slug, okay, which means the end of the URL, and we can have other called destination, which can hold the long URL. It will hold the long URL. Okay, so our table will look like kind of slug destination, okay, like user, department, okay, count of access. So count, and of course there we can have like creation time, create time, and expiry date. So these are the columns we can have in our table. So once the user comes for the request, okay, and of course the similar kind of table we can have for the public customer. Only for that, what we can do, like we can avoid these 3 columns. So these 4 will work for them also, for anonymous. So how it will work? So we can also have a table separately for the customer, for the user. Okay, user table we can also have. Okay, where you can have user ID, okay, email, okay, and other information we can have, especially user. So once the customer already logged in, okay, and generate a request. So using our already generated key, we'll pick the key and we'll insert into this table. So this sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, for the anonymous customer, we can either, so we can also, of course, we can either go for the same table or we can make a separate table. I'm going for the separate table, so it's easy to maintain separately, because for the paid customer, we may want to give like better server, better service, okay, and we may have different SLA. So it will be easy for us to scale. So accordingly, we can make a separate table. So now how the API will look like. So we can talk about like how the API will look like. So we can have like API, of course, like create, okay, create sort URL. So we can select URL, and what it will contain. It may contain, of course, user ID, department, long URL.
Just a counter question, Deepak, like how you are going to track how many times this URL is requested, how many times read request came, and when someone created.
Okay. Oh, sorry, my mistake. I forgot. So if you see in the table I created earlier, there's a column called a count.
Okay.
So every time the request comes, we'll increment the counter by 1.
Okay.
So in that case, we will say, okay, how many times it's called. So when it comes to analytics, so that's a straightforward query. We can simply like select query with a user ID department, and we can get the whole statistic for that. So that we can, of course, can generate as a report as required.
Okay. Have you taken a, like how you will track, like it is going to expire 5 years is already done.
So there's also a column called expiry date.
Okay.
Okay. So of course, so that is again covered in the query. So when we make queries, we can make sure that expiry date is in future. Okay. So if it is in past, it means it's already expired.
Okay.
Okay. So, and we also giving the expiry date option here. Okay.
In case of like a anonymous user, how we will track that expired or not?
No, so as we already told, right? So for anonymous user also, we are giving the default expiry of 5 years.
Okay.
So that's why that column will be used for all.
Okay.
Okay. So what we can have behind the scenes, so we can have like cleanup service, okay, which predictably will see claim the expired keys. So we can expired slug over here. So which slug is already expired, they will claim it for reuse.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is a create URL, and of course it will be the sort URL. Similarly, we have analytics API. Okay. API, where of course user ID, department, and we can make the URL optional. Okay, this URL is, so, or we can say in our case slug, this may be optional. Okay, so this is provided we can give only for that analytics, or we can give the analytics of all the URL of this ID and department. So this API looks good.
Yes, yeah, it looks good.
Okay, so Now let's see how many storage this may need. Okay, so we talk about like 60 million writes. So 60 million writes, of course we are writing 60 million URL, right? So
Here, sorry Deepak, in the first URL, create URL, user ID field is mandatory.
no, it's optional. User department, everything is optional. If it's not provided,
Okay.
we'll take anonymous. Okay, so only long URL is mandatory, rest everything is optional.
Okay.
So we can make it optional over here. Okay, so because expected by default we have 5 years. Okay, and this is by default we have on anonymous, and of course there is one URL. So that is not the get URL. You can say it will redirect API. Okay, so we can redirect API. Okay, so here we can have the of course short URL. Okay, and in response it will redirect to the long URL with code 302. So one more question we can think of over here. So when it comes to short URL, and we also have paid customers, okay, so we can also have the user ID and department, okay, to make sure if they are authorized for the short URL. So this we can have extra security. Okay, we can upgrade our system to make that if that is needed.
Okay.
So if needed, we can make it like that optional user ID and department. Okay. So if it's not provided, we will see if short URL is like anonymous, available to all or restricted. Okay. And if provided, we will see if they have access. Okay. So in that case, in our table we can have one more column. Okay, where the creator can have the options like restriction or not. So if it's restricted, they will be accessed only by those. If no, it will can be accessed by all.
Okay.
Okay, and for anonymous, we can have we may avoid these options. We can always assume for anonymous, if they created public API, it's always accessible to all.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Yep.
Okay. So these three, these are the APIs we can design: create URL, analytics, and redirect API. So here it looks good.
Yeah.
Okay.
If someone want to change, like they don't want to support that URL, how we can do that? Like
We can have this feature. Okay. So there of course there are different things you can do. One is the delete. Okay, you want to delete the URL. So we can create a separate URL called delete URL. Okay. So where of course we have the user ID, department, and the slug which you want to delete. Okay. What you can do here is, suppose the URL you gave the long URL earlier. Okay, there may be case. Suppose you created a long URL, we gave the short URL, and you created, of course, you promoted everywhere. Later you realize the long URL what you gave was incorrect. Okay, now of course short URL cannot be changed because it is already distributed. You want to change. So for that we can expose one more API called change URL for the same format, user ID. So as needed, we can keep on exposing the APIs as our supports, the slug, okay, and the long URL. Okay, so we are giving the customer the options. Sound good?
Looks okay.
Sounds good. The problem which is coming in with this is how do you take care of the denial of service attack? For example, this is available for anonymous customers, right?
Right.
You don't have to log into the system.
Right.
For my paid customer, usually they'll not do it, but for anonymous customers, they can try to abuse my service.
Right. So what we can do, of course, like if you see, like many of the system providers services, okay, like Cloudflare, we have like AWS Shield. So depending on that, we can implement any of those to avoid that, and they will take care of that. So many of these services are normally, most of them comes along with the load balancer also, which take care of these issues. So that we can discuss once we go in the architecture.
Sure.
Okay, so here I just want to make, okay, this is done. Now we'll go into the storage what we need. Okay,
Okay.
so from the API point, all looks good, and the data
Yes.
model we discussed about.
Yes, it looks good.
Okay, so we talk about like 60 million URL we are going to write in 5 years. So that is our estimate we take initially, right? So now we see how much data we need. So as per the RPC, the max character in the URL can be 2048. Okay, so which is equal to 2 kilobyte. Okay, because one character is like 1 byte, so 2048 is 2 KB. So one URL can be of 2 KB, but that is again like the worst case scenario. But if we talk about generally, no URL is just longer. So average we can take about like 1 KB or 500 bytes. Okay, so let's for our case we can take 1 KB. Okay,
Okay.
and that's I think I got the number. Now other thing what we are taking in the table. See, we talk about like user ID. We talk about department. We talk about create date, expiry date, right? We have restriction, slug, and destination, and count. Okay, so those are like few columns we talk about in our table. Okay, and if you see like so most of if you see most of the things that can become like in the 500 bytes kind of. Okay, it should not take more than that. Okay, so on a safe side we can go with 500 bytes. So user department, because sometimes department we don't know how lengthy it can, but yeah, from our side we can make it fixed. Okay, so it won't go more than 500 bytes. So we can say 0.5 KB.
Okay.
So there's a rough estimate I'm taking. So it's like 1.5 KB we need for each URL. Okay.
Okay.
So for 60 million, what we will need is 60 around 1 billion. So 1 billion means for 1 GB. That much we need. Let me recalculate if I'm making any mistakes. So kilobyte 60 million. Okay, sorry, one mistake. Okay, so KB million 900 GB. So we'll need this much of data. So we can say roughly 1 terabyte. Looks good?
Yes.
Okay. So as we see, like 1 terabyte storage is not a big issue in today's modern servers. So from storage wise we are good. And if you see, normally one server is good enough to hold that much of data. Okay. But for availability we can replicate like multiple servers because we want to make our server always available. Okay. So how we can how the architecture may look like. So we can have of course our application server. Okay, we can have our database. Okay, so we can also like as we talk about also like key generation service. So in that case we can have two different services. One is key generation and which will generate the key periodically. Okay, so we can have key generation service. It will periodically create and update a DB. And here we can also have one service called consumer service, which will consume from here and provide to application server. Okay, that is one we can do. And initially we may, if the load is not good enough and if we need, okay, we may need to cache. We can also cache the few of the like URL which is very famous and which we can see like very lots of read traffic. So what we can do, we can also use a cache. Okay, and if we are giving the options to, for example, to change the URL, short URL as we talk about, then we may have to go with the distributed cache. Okay, so that we can apply the eviction policy. If we use something like memcache and all, which is in-memory cache, The problem is if you enter the URL in one server, it may not reflect in all until it's expired or
Cache.
reloaded. Okay, so we can go here distribute cache. Okay, and of course we can with the for the availability we can have multiple applying server. We can also put like a load balancer to automatically balance the load. Okay, and as we'll of course talk about that again, the different customer may come from different geographical area. Okay, and we don't want them to hop from one network to another. Okay, so what we can use is we can also use the feature of CDN. Okay, so here our client. Okay, so they can use the CDN feature to load the local URL easy. But in that case, we also have to make sure the either because we are giving the option to edit the URL, so we have to make sure when the URL is edited, it will expire the URL cast in all the CDN. So that we have to make sure. Okay, the cache and all. Okay, for database also, so we can have like for multiple replicas. Okay, and as one terabyte is good enough for one storage, we no need to worry about the sharding or partitioning of data. But going forward, if we have lots of data which is not able to fit into one server, okay, we can partition the data. And
If you are talking about data partitioning here and you're using key generation service to generate the keys,
right,
which used a sequence
right,
for key generation.
right.
So that sequence was based on your database sequence generator, or what kind of sequence was that?
No, so that we can have a generic generic sequence. It should not be based on database. Okay, because as we said, we are taking the counter from 0 to the limit of 6 to the power 6. So the counter keep on going. And
If
we
you
can
want
put
to
in,
from database, then there is a risk.
no,
It's
so not
not
database.
bound.
No, so that was not database. So we can, of course, we can like declare kind of like global counter, okay, which they can use.
Global in memory counter, global counter from database.
No, we can store the value in database.
Okay.
Okay, that's a storing. But we are not asking database to generate that counter.
Okay.
The counter is internally used by applications.
Okay.
So that's how we are planning. Okay, and okay, so we also talk about the feature, okay, that the customer they want the same URL, okay, for some clients, right? Okay, so to support that, okay, as we said, to make it flexible, the API we introduced earlier, like create URL, we can add one more attribute, okay, like which says, okay, redundant true or false, okay, or like create new kind of field, okay. So so suppose customer want to generate new, they can make it true, okay, or we can make default as a like true, default always generate, okay. We can consider default if not provided the values, so we can have the values called in retain, okay, retain equal to true, so default equal to false always, okay. So whenever it is false, what we'll do, we'll always give the new key to the customers. But when retain is equal to true, we'll do the get first and then look up the table. So if the key is already, the long description is already found in the table, we can give that slug back to the customers. If not found, we can generate and insert in a DB and give it to them. So this can help to add those features. Sound good? Any question?
Deepak, we previously talked about sharding. What basis we are going to shard the data?
So okay, so in most of the database, it's already taken care by. Okay, so assume we are using here NoSQL, okay, which makes because NoSQL is even consistent and available. And for example, here we can go with, of course there are many DB, but suppose we are going with Cassandra. So internally they take care of the partitioning, and I can explain how the partitioning works. So normally here in case of Cassandra, we can follow the same format. So they do like hash-based partition. Okay, so what if the slug is coming, the data is coming, the key. So they create a hash. Okay, depending on the hash, they can decide which storage server to go. They can go. Okay, and of course, if you need to add more server, there can be a problem, which can be resolved by using consistent hashing.
What is that? Sorry, couldn't hear
We,
you.
we can use consistent hashing to make sure
Okay.
the hash algorithm works fine even while we are adding or removing server.
Okay.
So we can use consistent hashing over there. But most of the database already take care of that, like Cassandra, I said, DynamoDB, they internally always take care of starting. So as a consumer, you don't need to worry about that.
When we are talking about Cassandra or DynamoDB, what do you think will be best for this kind of system?
So they're more or less almost same. So depending on like sometimes uh, you want to go with manage instance or you want to go serverless, and it may depend like if you want to go with AWS or not. Okay, because DynamoDB is totally owned by AWS, and the good part about DynamoDB is totally serverless. You don't need to manage any instance. You can simply use as a key value store database. Okay, and AWS will take care of everything. But if you go with Cassandra, you have to manage your instance.
So Deepak, taking
Other
it
than
a
that,
step
any
further,
other things?
Hmm?
Other than that, anything else?
No, means this is the main change, difference. Okay, but if you see, of course, it almost has almost same logic. Of course, Cassandra have their own restriction, like they have to go with the SQL language and all, and DynamoDB is more like kind of key value stores. Okay, so that is the main difference.
Deepak, taking this a step further,
Right.
even going with since I have no plans to go with AWS. I have my own data center. Everything is set up. So considering MongoDB as one of the options,
Right.
what would you prefer, MongoDB or Cassandra here?
So depending on how we are storing data. Okay, so if you see like our table is very straightforward. Okay, so we can go with MongoDB also. Okay, and Cassandra also. The best part of Cassandra is they give starting out of the box. MongoDB you have to take care of. They
One
don't
of
give
the
out of the box.
challenges that I'm seeing with Cassandra here,
Yep.
like the way you explained, you will be storing the data, you will be storing the long URL and a short URL.
Right.
Customer here, maybe a department here, all those kind of things.
Right.
So when going with the analytics requirement later on,
Right.
we may need to look for this data based on like depending upon how you're planning to store it.
Right.
I may query it in a different way.
Right. So
And sometimes,
Right.
since it will be easier if we do it with a Mongo document-based database,
no.
we
So
can be
okay.
inside the JSON.
So here coming to your requirement, okay. So our requirement for the analytics was, okay, we will query by user ID, okay, department, and max we can also add slug, right?
Right.
User ID is always mandatory, department and slug is optional, okay.
And maybe the short URL as well, because
Yeah,
the
this is
one
optional, right?
not-
That is slug. That is
Okay.
short. Okay. So suppose you want to only such a user department, or you want to go only with user ID, or you want to take all three. Okay.
Correct.
So Cassandra easily support these queries. We can take this as a partition key. Okay. Okay, and we can go with this as a sort key.
Okay, so you are storing everything as a key value pair rather than storing it in a JSON document.
All right. Because we don't have a big JSON document, and the good part is the data what we are adding is predictable. It's not unpredictable. We know the fields we need beforehand, so we can easily create a kind of table structure over here. So we can use the column wide Cassandra.
Okay. Yes, to some extent true that this is not kind of schemaless at this point. But given as my service will grow in future, maybe there may requirements come in where I need to put some extra logic depending upon the customer requirements coming in time to time. So, but in that case, it may become serverless, schemaless. But at this point, yes, you are right. This is
Right.
kind of
No, so
simple.
yeah, so that's it. So normally it all depends, like if you how many, what are changes you want to do. Okay, it's not like if with Cassandra you cannot make any changes. Okay,
Right.
you can make changes. And one more good thing of because in Cassandra there's also called DAX. Okay, so which comes with Solar Query. Okay, so you can add index to make your query
Mhm.
flexible.
Okay.
You can add a column letter and you can add an index to make your query easier.
Okay.
Of course,
All
it's
right.
come with some cost of indexing cost. Okay, but it's doable.
All right. Sounds good.
And any question on this architecture?
This looks perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
If service goes down
Okay. You have any
from
question?
your
Yeah.
load balancer to your system, are there any plans like how we can mitigate those risks?
Yeah. So, see, normally when you use any like system, so there are two ways we can do. Okay, we can like when you using application server, we can either go with like okay auto scaling, okay, or we can do manually. Okay, so let's assume we are going with auto scaling. So load balancer we keep on checking if any server is down, they will remove that server out of the rotations and spin up a new server. So this is how the load balancer will work with the auto scaling.
Okay.
Any more question?
So if we go with the manual thing, currently as like we are a startup and we
Okay.
are going to launch this, if we don't want to put that investment of auto scaling, how we
Okay.
can do that?
So if you go with manual server, right, there is one different service we can have, like which keep on pinging the server, and it will check if the server is down or not. Whenever it goes down, it can give a pager alert to the operator. Then operator can go and have a look and manually fix that. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you.